Okay, so what we did last time was we created the bottom of the nose, and then we created the smile line coming down. That smile line can be changed in time, but remember what I said about the nose. The nose, by putting in, we created the nose and the shape of the nose with respect to the top of the lip, and so half the nose sticks out, and by putting in that smile line, now we've created half the nose in the face, just simply by putting in the smile line. That creates that. So now we have to work on where do we put the rest of the nose. So we got to work our way up the side of the nose, and then create the eye socket. The eye socket, by removing that, creates the side of the nose. So we'll do that step by step. So if you take a look at where the eye is basically just slightly below where the peak of the hat is. So you can see where the eye fits in on just down there. Now, in order to see how the eye in this guy here sits kind of straight out, if you want to make him a little bit older, then you drop the corner of the eye down. So when you do that, you also drop the eyebrow down. So you create that whole shape being curved down. I like to have I like older guys because you can give more character to it. So once again, going back to our carving, you've got to decide on what size of a pinch of the nose is. And if you take a look at the pinch of the nose here, it's fairly fine. And that helps to make the nose a little bit broader at the bottom. So I'll just draw in one side here, or try to. So we got to come from the side of the nose up and give it that kind of a shape in there. Do it on his right side, or if you're looking at it on the left side, so that then, being a right-handed person, then you can see the curvature you've got on this side, and then you can recreate the same shape on the other side. So do that, and then we'll try and carve that out. Okay, so it should look something like that, both sides. So now the trick is to remove the wood in there, and there's two ways of doing it. This is a number 5 gouge. It happens to be 10 millimeters wide, and you can put it in and bring it up and curve it up to where about just below where the bridge of the nose is going to be. The other way of doing it is to use a high-sided gouge. This happens to be a number 11 5 millimeter, and you can put it in and jab it straight down to create that slope on the side of the nose. I like the high-sided gouge on this guy because he's got a very steep, if you look at the bridge of the nose here, it's very steep. So if you just take that and once again work on his right side and looking down, straight down at it. So if you put that and push that down, to give it a good jab, okay. Now I don't know whether I can zoom in on that to see it if it's any closer. Can you see that cut there? So using the same gouge, the same number 11, then you can come in from the side and remove that chip, and you see how it instantly creates the eye. Okay, can you see that in there? It's a little bit difficult to see. Alright, so that's how I do it. Do it on both sides, and don't try and remove too much material because we still have a cheek to perform in here, and we're just going to clean that right up to our line coming in from the side. So there it is with both sides out. I'm just going to go on with the next one. I know it's a little bit fast, but I don't want you to take out too much material, so I'm going to use that same high-sided gouge, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to remove just above where the nostrils flare, where the wings of the nostril is. I'm going to take out that little piece, and notice I'm not going as deep. It doesn't go down as deep as the eye socket. I'm creating the side of the nose. I'm not creating. I want to leave some of this material here in case I want to give them a little bit more of a pronounced cheek. Okay, so just come up the side of the nose. So it's just simply a question of putting in that little notch that we had with our V-tool and coming up and removing that little bit of material in there. Do that on both sides, of course. Okay, so the next thing we've got to do is put the bridge of the nose in. And you notice that this, I put a straight line here, and I'm going to leave that as a straight line. Eventually I'll put a little bump in the nose. But the next thing I have to do is to put this little, take this little wedge out in here. I'm going to take that wedge out in there. And you notice where that is. It's just above the eyes. So in this case, just a little bit underneath the peak. So I'm just going to take a V-tool and go straight across. So if you take a look at how flat this is, well, we'll turn it the same way as the picture. Well, that's hard to see. There. So it's going to be above the eye, right about there, just at the brow, just slightly below the brow. I'm just going to take a slight V-tool and cut across there. Next, we're going to work on the mouth. We've got the nose pretty well generally shaped, so now we'll move on to something different. The mouth is going to be, and this guy here, you can see that he's got quite a smile to him, so it's quite a curvature, and the corners are turned up pretty good in order to do that. How I do a mouth is I always start off with a straight line, and I tend to keep that so up a little bit so that I've got a little bit more chin to work with. I always have difficulty shaping the chin, so in order to accommodate that, I like to put my mouth a little bit higher. So I always start off with a straight line, and if you're going to make them sad, you could turn, even with the straight line, you can turn it down. If you want to make them neutral, then you bring the mouth, the slit of the mouth will come straight across. In this case, we'll give them a happy face. So I like to pick out a spot on both sides so that I can kind of make it match. So I put a dot on both sides. Try and get them relatively close to the same height, so that then you can join the dot to that straight line. And there he is. He's a happy face. If it doesn't look just right, you can adjust it. Remember, I'm using a pen here, but if you're using a pencil, there's no reason why you can't erase it and start again and be happy with the guy. But right off the bat, you can see by creating that smile line in there, you're really giving them a bit of character right off the bat. All right, so mark that out and be happy with it. Don't be afraid to erase it. All right, so now let's try and carve that. So in order to carve that, I'm going to start with maybe if I widen that out a little bit. There's Lloyd. We're going to widen that out, and we're going to use the tip of the knife. Make sure your knife is really good and sharp, and you're going to use the tip of your knife. Some people prefer to use a small knife. I use the same knife for just about everything. So a straight up and down cut. Push it in really good at the outside, and we're going to bring it down and curve it around right on that mark. Just come past the center line. So once again, push it in, bring it around. And the same on the other side. Push it in. So that all you've got is a stop cut at this point in time, right on top of where the where the mouth is. Okay, I'll stop there until you catch up. Okay, so the next step is to put your knife in. We're going to create the top lip, and so we're going to put the knife, the tip of the knife in at the corner of the mouth, and then we're going to bring the heel down, pushing it down till it hits the center line. Okay, and that'll remove that little chip in there. And that creates the top lip. So the same thing applied on the other side. And the nose stops you from laying it down too flat. It's a little bit of a sharp angle. So we're going to have more or less a point right in the middle here, because that piece will not be removed. Okay, so that's it. So the tip of your knife goes in, the outside, and the heel comes down and hits the center line. That happens on both sides. Alright, so the bottom lip, the top lip was a 2-cut. The bottom lip is a 3-cut. But we got to start by putting in a little notch on the outside. So see where I am there? It's going to follow the curvature of your smile line out here. And so we're going to put the tip in that little corner there and push it straight in, and then come in on about a 45-degree angle and remove that little chip right in there. So we got, once again, if I can get in the same spot again, push it down and remove that little chip on the corner. So we're going to do the same on the other side. So straight in cut. So a straight in cut, like that, and then remove that little chip out of there. That's step number 1. Now it's going to be a 3-cut, and the first cut is going to be a straight in cut, again about a 45-degree angle. And you're going to come in and just rock your knife back and forth so that that piece comes out. Then the second cut is to get the tip of your knife in the corner there and remove that little piece that's going to be in there, and likewise the same on the other side. But get the tip right in the corner. So look at how we create a bottom lip. Very, very simple. So outside corners, remove those little chips, a straight cut in, and then put the tip of your knife in the corner and bring it around. Tip of your knife in the corner here and bring it around, so that you create that nice oval shape coming around for the mouth. So now, in order to finish the bottom lip, we've got the opening done now. So now I want to leave a little bit of space, a little bit of distance that is flat. And then I'm going to come around and remove the wood below it in this general area in here, in order to create the bottom lip and make the lip stick out. You see how the lip sticks out? You have to take out this material in there in order to create that. I do that with a knife. You could use a high-sided gouge as well, but if you put your knife in, I put it in straight, and then I turn it on about a 45, and then if you just remove that, a 45 in both ways, that creates see how it creates the bottom lip? So again, it's a 3-cut. So this one here is straight across at the bottom, and now you've got to come about half the distance between the center line and the corner of the mouth. You're going to put your knife in, and if I can get that turned around, I'll do that. So I'm going to put the tip of the knife in, and again that same 45-degree angle, I'm just going to push it down so that the bottom of the blade hits that cut that I've already put in, and then I can come up here and I can remove that piece there and see how it creates the side of the mouth. It is so simple to do. Okay, so and then the same on the other side. I'll go ahead and do that. Now, I've always had difficulties carving the chin, so I'll talk about how to create a chin. If you remember, we cut out this section up in here to create the side of the bottom lip. So now if you remove some of the wood you want to leave to create the chin, you've got to leave this wood protruding here in order to make that work. So how you do that is you draw a line off the corner of that lip, and you remove this hunk of wood in here. And the amount of wood that you remove on both sides determines whether he has a rounded chin, you got enough material to make a rounded chin, or a pointed chin. Either or, it doesn't really matter. Now this guy here doesn't have much of a pointed chin. It's more of a rounded chin. He's a happy guy, a young guy. If you want to make him older, the tendency is to make thinner faces, and therefore you want to narrow it down. So looking at it straight on the carving, then it's a simple process of removing a little bit of wood there. And you can do that with whatever tool you want. I'll just put a knife cut in there, and I'll start where I had my mark, and then I'm going to curve my knife. So you got to start the cut first, and then remove that piece of wood up like that. Can you see how it creates the chin in here by removing the piece of wood on either side here? Alright, so I'll just kind of trim that up a little bit. You could use a gouge in there as well. So the nose is more or less set in place. But what now we got to create is the nose has a ball on the end of his nose. If you grab a hold of your nose and just feel the end of your nose, you'll find that there's a ball there. Okay? And then the wings come down from the ball. Okay? So it's like a TP, only with a flat ball on top. So if you were looking straight up the nose, you see this is flat at the present time, so we've got to shape that and bring it down. So you got to be very gentle as to how you're doing this, and I like to create the ball on top first and then carve the wings coming down. So I'll go ahead and do that, and I'll mainly use a knife to do that, and I'll create the shape, leaving that flat spot in the middle for the ball, and then I'll just knock down the sides just a little bit. I'll go ahead and do that. Okay, we'll work our way up again. So you can see that I've left the mark to create that ball on the top of his nose. Now I want to create the back of the wing. In order to create the back of the wing, I have to remove a little chip from the smile line and into the top of the nose. So that's done with the point of a knife. And so if I come in there with the point of the knife like yay, and then like that, and take that little chip out of there, you can see that now I've got the back of the nose, the high part of the wing, that's removed. Okay, again, that's done on both sides, but it's just a little triangular cut, and it makes that shadow that creates the top of the wing. Let me talk briefly again about the nose. The bottom of the nose, when it's curved like it is here, nice and gentle curve, makes him a younger person. The older we get, there's two particular parts of our body, our face, that still grows, and that is the tip of the nose grows and hangs down further, and the ears drop down further. So if you're creating an older man, then you address that by changing the shape of the nose. So the nose can come down and come straight back, and that creates an older guy. And then if you want to come and make it to another extreme, then you bring it up so that you create. So you eliminate the wood underneath here in order to make that shape. So it's your call as to whether you want to undercut it or not. Okay, it's no problem one way or the other. If he's an older guy, then you undercut it. But everybody's nose is a little bit different. So if you take a look at this guy here in the diagram, it's not undercut hardly at all. It's more or less a straight cut in, and so he's I would envision him as a younger guy, only because of the shape of the nose. But it can be whatever shape you want. I like to undercut mine just a little bit, but it's neither here nor there. So we're removing that little bit of material from the lip up to create that snot trough. So he's got a snot trough, comes up, and that creates that shape. Now I want to give him a nostril. You got to be able to breathe. So now the trick is to make it balanced on both sides. And once again, I work on this side first, and I'm going to use that same gouge. This is a number 7, 3 millimeter. It could be a high-sided gouge, a number 11 that could do the same thing. And I'm going to jab it in like yay. Okay? And so there he's got a hanging little snotty there. So then just come in with a knife and undercut it. And there he is. He's got a nostril. Now the only hard part about nostrils is to make them balance, because this is one time when you got to be able to see that they're pretty much the same. So take your time when you're putting in the second one to make sure that it's in the right spot. Okay? Clean that out a little bit. Okay? There you go.